Well, that wasn't too bad, was it? We have won 4-1 against Leeds this afternoon at the Emirates. 8 points clear again at the top of the table. Let's get into it. What a great performance it was again. So Arsenal 4, Leeds United 1 this afternoon at the Emirates. And have we not seen this somewhere before? I think we might have done in our very last game at the Emirates when we beat Crystal Palace 4-1. Very, very similar game. Very, very similar performance. Yes, we rode our luck at times in that first half. We know we did. But at this point in the season, there's only one thing that matters. That is picking up those 3 points. We saw Man City beat Liverpool 4-1 earlier in the day. We knew nothing less than a victory was going to be enough today when you look at the fixtures that we've got coming up over the next few weeks. So let's have a look at the performance and what we made of it. And let's kind of see where we think it leaves us. I mean, let's start with the team lineup, because for me, it was pretty much as expected, apart from, of course, Bukayo Saka, following his heroics for England over the last couple of weeks, was rested down to the bench. Of course, he did come on later in the game. Was it his 71st consecutive Premier League appearance? Wow, what an incredible run that is of someone so young. So the lineup was, I say, as expected. It was Aaron Ramsdale in goal. It was, of course, Rob Holding came in again at the back in place of William Saliba. So he played alongside Gabriel with Ben White and Zinchenko as the two fullbacks. In midfield, Xhaka, Partey and Ødegaard, of course, as usual, in the front three. This time, slightly rotated. Gabriel Jesus got his first start, and good to see him get a couple of goals, wasn't it? And it was Trossard and Martinelli either side. So a strong Arsenal side, of course. You know, we've got a very good team. We know that. The first half, I thought, was a little bit. I thought we were a little bit nervy, maybe. Leeds came out and caused us some problems, didn't they? A lot of pacing behind their front three, looked very lively, especially Somerville. I thought he looked a very, very good player, didn't he, in that first half? Aronson as well was causing us one or two problems, and we had to dig in, really, didn't we, in that first half? We didn't play particularly well. We wasn't getting our attacking movements going. We didn't really threaten the Leeds defence at all. And we could easily have been behind, couldn't we? A bit like the Bournemouth game, wasn't it? Straight from the kickoff, Leeds had a chance. Good save from Ramsdale. And they did have the better chance, didn't they, in that first half an hour or so? A couple of good saves later on from Aaron Ramsdale as well to keep it at 0-0. And I must admit, even at that stage when Leeds were maybe playing the better football, I was not really worried. And even if Leeds had gone ahead, I don't think I'd have been too worried about where the game might have gone, where the result might have ended up, because I just felt that we had the quality there. And yes, we were fortunate for the first goal. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments about the penalty, because I thought it was soft, a little bit soft, wasn't it? I mean, Luke Ayling slipped over and then he put a leg out to try to win the ball. The contact was minimal. I mean, Jesus did what all strikers do, made the most of the contact, went down, the referees give the penalty, VAR didn't overrule it, and happy days. Interesting to see Jesus take the penalty. Of course, usually it's Bukayo Saka, and of course he wasn't on the pitch, was he? So he wasn't able to take this one, but a cool penalty from Gabriel Jesus, wasn't it? Straight down the middle. He gambled that the keeper's going to dive. He did. Keeper dived to his right, and Gabriel Jesus just rolled it in the middle. And a good relief for him. He hasn't scored for 6 months since his last goal against Tottenham. So nice to get him up and running on the score sheet again. And I think that penalty really changed the game, didn't it? Because I say Leeds were probably the better team up until that point in the game, and then the penalty comes and we get in front, and you can see the difference in everything, can't you? The atmosphere in the stadium changed after the goal. The players looked a lot more relaxed. We've been very, very tense before that. I say very similar to the Crystal Palace game, wasn't it, in our last home game, and very similar to quite a few games that we've had in recent weeks as well. Redendra says 4-1 to the Arsenal. Indeed, it was. Redendra says, hi, Rich. First half, 50-50, but their foul on Jesus gave us the lead. Second half, we were totally dominant. Yeah, we were a little bit sloppy at times. We'll come on to the second half a little bit later as well. But yeah, you're right. It was totally dominant, really. Redendra says, winning 3-0, and we went 2 lax and let them have a goal. Imagine if we have let 3 or 4 teams put a goal back, so we could also have goal advantage over City as well as the points. Yeah, I mean, at home in particular, we've struggled, haven't we, to keep clean sheets. We've only kept 2 or 3 clean sheets at home all season, haven't we? We have got an issue with that. We always seem to switch off for brief moments, concede a soft goal, and we did it again today. We did it against Crystal Palace. We've done it too many times, really. It's a little bit of a worry But when we're scoring 4 goals, does it matter too much? Probably not. Regenda says players coming in from different training for their countries. Yeah, that's true. International breaks always tough. Right, we've got Clive in the chat there, my friend. Good to see you. He says, good day, Rich. Great win for Arsenal. Yeah, it was. Very good win. And it was very important as well. You know, when you're playing second on the weekend and the other team played ahead of you and they've won, it puts a little bit more pressure on, doesn't it? And we had to win today. And we got the job done. But yeah, that penalty for me was a turning point. Well, I thought we were not really on our game, were we, until then? We sort of missed Saka. Yeah, I think we did. Erdegaard was very quiet, wasn't he? We just wasn't really getting to grips with the game at all. And I thought going forward, Leeds in that first half played some good stuff. Some nice one-touch football. They had a lot of pace, and they did cause us some problems. They had a big chance, didn't they? Good save from Aaron Ramsdale. And these are the little moments, aren't they, that sometimes make a difference. They're the little moments that can be the difference between winning a title and not winning a title. You know, those when you're not maybe playing so well, you need your goalkeeper to make a save when it's needed, and he did. Good save it was as well, wasn't it? And that gave us the platform then to go on and get the win. And I say the penalty, I thought, made a massive difference to the whole game, didn't it? Because you could see the relief, and everybody seemed to be a lot more relaxed after that penalty goes in. We get the goal, we're in the lead, and then, you know, what you're looking at then is to see the second half, because, you know, Leeds had caused us 1 or 2 problems. And I think, you know, you can imagine at half time, the Leeds manager, Garcia, would have been saying to his team, keep ourselves in the game, keep it at 1-0, and who knows, try and nick a goal from a set piece. And then within 2 minutes of the second half, we get the second goal. And that pretty much seals the deal, doesn't it, after that? It was a good goal, wasn't it? It was well worked, Gabriel Martinelli. It'd been a bit frustrating for me in the first half, Martinelli. He didn't want to put an early crossing, did he? He was always trying to take an extra touch. And a couple of times, you know, the chance went begging. But on this occasion, he got past his man, got an early cross into the far post. A lovely ball, wasn't it? And what's Ben White doing up there against his old team? Close range finish into the roof of the net. And I think that pretty much everybody at that stage kind of felt that was it, game done, and we've got the win. And you could sense then the way we knocked the ball around, nice and easy, comfortable football, wasn't it? Brilliant stuff. And then we got the third goal, didn't we? But with about half an hour to go. And again, it was a really good move, wasn't it? Gabriel Jesus played the ball out to Trossard. Lovely play from him. Brilliant cross to pulled it back to the edge of the 6-yard box. Jesus has made that run and gets his first outfield goal since October. And it was good to see him get 2 goals on the score sheet, wasn't it? And that 3-0, I did feel a little bit then at 3-0. It was, do we then go on and try to get a few more goals to try to peg back some goal difference on City? Or do we just try to manage the game, see it through in a fairly comfortable fashion, a few substitutions and what have you? And, you know, again, a bit like Crystal Palace, it was the same, wasn't it? We were 3-0 up against Crystal Palace. We got a little bit sloppy for 5 minutes, as we did in this game. We could have conceded a goal before with Aronson inside the box. And then we did concede a goal, slight deflection. The shot from Christensen from the edge of the box hit, I think it was Zinchenko, wasn't it, on the back and looped into the net. And, you know, it was, I wouldn't say it was nervy times, but it's unnecessary, isn't it? We've done that too many times this season, in home games in particular. It's almost like we know it's comfortable. It feels too easy and we switch off and we allow the other team an opportunity to get a goal back. And that's what we did again. And but you know, as happened against Crystal Palace, we kind of rode the storm a little bit. We settled ourselves down and we've got that quality in the final third, haven't we? And a lovely 4th goal, Martin Erdegaard's cross, and there was Granit Xhaka with a header. Unopposed pretty much, wasn't he, from fairly close range, put it into the corner of the net. A great goal. What's that, his 6th goal of the season? Incredible season Granit Xhaka's having. And that kind of sealed the deal, didn't it? We could have got another goal or 2 towards the end, a couple more chances. But at this moment in time, at this point in the season, we've got the advantage over Manchester City. We've got the points on the board. And all we've got to do is just keep winning as many games as we can. It doesn't matter how well we play. It doesn't matter how many goals we win by. Let's just get the wins. And today, that's exactly what we did. You know, yes, I thought we rode our luck in that first half. There's no doubt about that. The penalty was soft and we could have been 2-0 down before we even got to that point. But what good teams do is, what champions do is, they make the most of those opportunities and they go on and win these games. And that's what we did. And we had to win today. We really did have to win today. And it was a solid performance, wasn't it, in the end? And I say comfortable in that second half. And it was good to see again, a 4-1 victory. Sometimes at this point in the season, they can be nervy, can't they? You scrape a 1-0 or whatever it might be. But it was good to see us again, creating chances, scoring goals, and wearing down the opposition. Who a lot of teams come to the Emirates and they seem to have a game plan set up to try to frustrate us, catch us on the counter attack, and once we settle down, almost like we just wear them down, don't we? And they can't cope and live with us, and then we go on and winning these games pretty comfortably at the moment. It's looking good, isn't it? Is that 7 Premier League victories in a row at this point in the season? That is impressive, and that is how you win titles, isn't it? Let's be honest. We know Man City are probably going to win most of their games. Let's be honest. To the point where I didn't even watch the Man City game. I looked at the score at the end when it was over, and they'd won 4-1, and yeah, that's kind of what I expected. I expected them to win. I expect them to win every game. So it's just a matter of us going out and winning ours, and that's what we've got to focus on. I'm not going to worry too much about Man City. The only game I'm going to worry about Man City is when we play them ourselves, because that's in our hands, isn't it? We can affect that result by getting a draw or win, and that's what we can do. We can't affect any of their other results. We just have to focus on our games. We've got the advantage. We don't need them to lose necessarily. We just need to keep winning our games, and that's it. So that's what I'm focused on. I'm just worrying about our games, not even our performances now, just our results. Win these games. We know how tough it is going to be next week away at Anfield, where we haven't won for many years. It's going to be a difficult game, and they've got a tough week, Liverpool, because they played Chelsea. They've just played Man City. They've got Chelsea during the week as well. So it's is it a good time for us to play Liverpool next week? We've got a week off, and they've got a difficult midweek game. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But we'll worry about Liverpool game a little bit later in the week. But today it was just all about making sure that we got the job done today. And I have to say that Leeds played well, didn't they? I thought Leeds played well. Certainly in spells in that game, in the first half in particular, they were really impressive, Leeds. I thought they caused us a few problems. And that Somerville, the little Dutch player up front for them, really good performance from him, I thought. He was impressive, wasn't he? Looks a good player. He's another one. There's a few players playing for some of these teams near the bottom end of the Premier League that if any of them were to get relegated, there's going to be some really good players. I mean, Leeds have got that Nonto as well, who was injured today. He's a very good player as well, isn't he? There's one or two others at some of those other clubs battling relegation that could be available in the summer. Young players, good quality players, and all that kind of stuff. So, it could be interesting in what happens in the summer. But he's a good player at Somerville. Crescenzio, I think his name is, Somerville, looked really good. Rather strange hair, but fair play to him. He put in a good performance, didn't he? And I thought, credit to Leeds. They kept going. They got the goal back, and it would have been easy for their heads to have gone down at 3-0. And they gave it a go, didn't they? I don't think they'll go down, if I'm honest. I think that there's worse teams than them in the Premier League, and I think that they may survive just about. It'll be close, but I do think they've got enough to stay up. So let's see. Rajendra says they're one game at a time, one win at a time. Exactly, yeah. That's what we're looking at, aren't we? That's all I'm looking at. I'm just looking at this game we've won. Look at the next game, try and win that. And I'm not even focusing on how Man City are doing, because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, does it? We need to win our games regardless. So that's what I'm looking at doing. Rajendra says Martinelli and Jesus were not in sync in the first half. No, they wasn't. Absolutely, I 100% agree with you. But that changed after the goal. But Martinelli was playing as he does, our number one player, our fastest striker. Yeah, I mean, I think Martinelli and Trossard, when they've played on that left-hand side, interchanging, has worked so well. And that's why I was a little bit surprised that we didn't start with that today, because it's worked. And when something's working, why change it sometimes? But I think there's no doubt that Bukayo Saka has needed a rest at some point. He's been playing so many games, hasn't he, in all the competitions this season. And he was great for England last week, wasn't he, in the international break? And maybe it was time. And again, Mikel Arteta has made the big call, and he's got it right, because we've won the game without Bukayo Saka starting. Of course, he did come on later on, didn't he? He didn't really have a chance to get in the game, did he? But at least he got some minutes in his legs today, didn't he? Ready ahead of the bigger challenges that's coming this month. We're into April now, the bigger times to come. Robertson in the chat here says, "Hey Rich, how have you been? Sorry, but I've been away a while. Seen the game today. Let's hope Tierney stays." I'll be amazed if he stays, mate. He's not getting enough minutes, is he? He came on today, as he comes on many games when the game's over and done with. We've won. and he brings him on 5-10 minutes to go. It's not enough, is it? A player like Kieran Tierney should be playing regular, needs to play regular Premier League football. He needs to be playing, and he's good enough to play. We know he is, and he doesn't quite fit in with his team, does he? With his system now, and he's not getting enough minutes. So I'll be amazed if he stays. I think he'll be off to another Premier League club, potentially Newcastle, as we know, has been interested in him. So we'll see. It will be a shame because we all love Kieran Tierney, don't we? But he's got to look at his own career. He's not going to play enough games, is he? He's not. And even next season in the Champions League, he's still not going to. I still don't think he's going to play enough games. I think that's going to be that, unfortunately. Terry says, afternoon, Richard. What happened today? As long as you saw the game is most important. But I did miss your comms today. It wasn't the same without it. I had to listen to Rubbish TV comms. Yeah, no, what happened was, my son's come up for the weekend, and he was here when we watched the game together. We don't get to do that very often. So that was why, in the end, I sort of changed the schedule and put this show in. He's gone out with his girlfriend tonight, so he's not actually in now. So I've got I don't know, or a couple of hours to spare. So I thought I'd do a show after the game instead. But I'll be back tomorrow for the women's game. They'll still be in bed, but 12:30 kickoff, won't they? So, but I'll do that game tomorrow. Redendra said the next game, Liverpool. Yep, they will want to bounce back. Note 7-0 versus Manchester United. Yeah, I don't necessarily look at that game particularly. What I look at is how our recent record against Liverpool at Anfield. Really, really poor, isn't it? We've not beaten them there since I think it was 2012, isn't it? So a long, long time. And we've got turned over there many, many times, haven't we, including last season. So we need to do something different at this time at Anfield. We need to get a result. And I do believe now that if we win at Anfield next week, I think we'll win the league. We won't throw it away then. This is a game, this one, the Liverpool game, the Man City game, the Newcastle game away. These are games where potentially they're the banana skins, aren't they? The first one's Liverpool. If we win that, I think that will give us enough to go on and win the league. I really do. The confidence and the belief and everything else, and I think that's what happened. Regenda says we beat them at home. We did. They're not quite the same away from home, are they? They're very strong at Anfield. That is going to be such a tough game. But we'll look forward to that later on in the week, won't we? We'll build up to that one. Regenda says Somerville was very good. Possibly we might buy him from Leeds. Yeah, I was really impressed with him. He had a decent game when we played him away, didn't he? I think he might have come on that day. I seem to remember. We were lucky to win that game in a row earlier in the season, wasn't we? But yeah, he's a very, very good player. Somerville. I really, really liked his performance. 21 years old. He is from Rotterdam, actually. And if you're from Rotterdam or anywhere, but he's from Rotterdam. Terry says first half hour we look like we're on a Sunday stroll, but much better second half and a great 3 points. Yeah. We've been like that, haven't we, at home recently? Anyway, haven't we? We seem to start quite slowly and then we grow into the game. And you can see what massive difference getting that first goal makes to us. Everybody's more relaxed. The atmosphere is better and the players are more, they're just more into our flow then, aren't we? Up until the goal, we look shaky. We did. Lucy Reese says they're very upsetting that they lead losing. Yeah, but if you're a Leeds fan, Lucy, I would say you can take a lot of positives from that performance because I thought Leeds played well in spells in that game. Considering the circumstances, Arsenal top of the league, Leeds battling relegation, and I thought Leeds played well today. And if they play like that in most of their games that's left this season, I think they'll have enough to stay up. I think they've got some good players. They've got pace going forward. Look a decent counter-attacking side. I think defensively though is a worry for me. Luke Ayling was all over the shop today again, as he tends to be. He gave away that penalty, a little bit of a sloppy challenge. He was beaten too easily for the second goal as well. I think that's an issue. I don't think the two centre-backs are that great for Leeds either. Goalkeeper's good. And I say they've got some good attacking players. So I think Leeds have got enough to stay up this season, definitely. I wouldn't be worried. If you're a Leeds fan, I wouldn't be worried about going down. I do think you'll survive. You've got some big games in this next week, haven't you? Is it Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace you're playing next two games? They're going to be big, aren't they? So, yeah, you need to get some results there. But I think Leeds will be fine. They played well today. Certainly in spells, particularly that first half an hour, they were a better team. Until we scored, Leeds were a better team. They looked more likely to score. They were more dangerous. And, the goal changed, the penalty changed the game, didn't it? And after that, it was always going to be, there was only ever going to be one result after that point, wasn't there? But no, so well played Leeds though. I thought they had a decent game and I think they'll be fine. Robert says there, look, even if we stay in the top four, we have achieved greatness this year. We are back in our royalty box, so to speak. Yeah, no, we are, and we are going to finish in the top 4 now. Look at the number of points that we've got. But let's be honest now, if we don't win the league, this season wouldn't have been a success. It wouldn't have been in the position that we've found ourselves in. This is the most points we've ever had at this point in a Premier League season, the most wins we've ever had at this point in a Premier League season. We have to win it now. We have to. And if we don't, it will be a failure. This season would have been a failure. Yes, we win the top 4. And at the start of the season, I agree. Back in August, top 4, yes, I'd have been over the moon with that. Let's get the top 4. That'll do. But as the season's progressing, how we've been playing, the results that we've had and where we are in the table now, with 9 games left to play, we're 8 points clear. Yes, City have got a game in hand, but we're 8 points clear with 9 games to play. We've got to win it now. Anything else is not a successful season. I'm sorry, it's not. And we shouldn't be, as Arsenal fans and as Arsenal as a club, we shouldn't be happy just with top 4. You know, we accepted it for many years, particularly when we first moved to the Emirates and the funds were tied up in the stadium move, and we maybe could accept it for those sort of few years there. But now, you know, the way this season's gone, we have to aim high. And for me, this season now, obviously we've got to win the league. We have to. We're in the position that we're in. Won't be easy. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but we have to do it. And I'm getting more and more confident as every game's going on, because we're looking like a team that believes that we can do it. But we've got these 3 really, really tough away games, haven't we? Liverpool, City, and then Newcastle, all within 4 or 5 weeks. The next 4 or 5 weeks, and they're going to. That is when we are going to know, aren't we? By the time we've played Newcastle away, if we're still top and we're still, 4 or 5 points clear after Newcastle away at the beginning of May, then I pretty much think we've done it. Let's be honest. But those big games are coming thick and fast, and we need to keep these performances up. Rajendra says he helped get our 4th goal as 4 defenders were around him. So a pass to Erdegaard who passed it to Xhaka for his 6th goal. Yeah, his 6th goal of the season, Xhaka. Wow, what an incredible season he's had, and it's there's many Arsenal fans, and who you are, pretty much most 90% of you wanted Xhaka out of the club after that incident in that Crystal Palace game. And even before that, to be fair, so many Arsenal fans didn't feel that Granit Xhaka was good enough. And I remember the thing was, it was being said, wasn't it? Granit Xhaka joined us in 2016, and we never qualified for the Champions League since. It wasn't because of him, obviously, but it was said a lot, wasn't it? Oh, we'll never get back in the Champions League with Granit Xhaka in the team. He's not good enough. All this stuff we used to hear, didn't we, for years and years and years. And now those very same people are now saying that Granit Xhaka is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and that is down as much as anything else to Granit Xhaka himself, the performances that he's produced, because he struggled at times at Arsenal. I think he'd be the first to admit that, and that's not always been his fault. The structure of the team around him wasn't getting the best out of him at certain points, but he's stuck in there, and Arteta's found a way to really get the best out of Granit Xhaka, and we're seeing it this season. He's been absolutely brilliant. He's absolutely been brilliant, and he's added goals that we never thought he'd get. 6 goals in a season. Wow, it's his most ever goals, and that one today, a nice little finish, wasn't it? He's got a lot of goals at the Emirates this season, hasn't he? At that North Bank end as well, funnily enough. In fact, most of them have been up there, haven't they? We got the one today. You got the one against Tottenham. Was that there, wasn't it? That was it. The Europa League goal he scored. Can't remember who that was against now. He did score at the clock end against Sporting Lisbon, didn't he? But most of them have been at the other end, haven't they? At the North Bank. Terry says, I'm banking on the 89 result at Anfield next week. Well, if we win at Anfield next week, I think that's it for me. That is it. I think that's done. We've won the league then. I know mathematically we won't have done, but I just think what that would give us going forward would be enough to convince me that we will win the league, definitely. Rajendra says there, Somerville looked like a young Saka. Yeah, he was brilliant, Somerville, he was. And I wouldn't mind Arsenal looking to try and buy him in the summer, actually. He looked really, really good. Robert says, I think Summerfield is class and these players like Jesus. Somerville it was, yeah. Jimmy Somerville. Do you remember Jimmy Somerville from the Communards? He looks a bit different these days, doesn't he? He's had his hair done and all sorts. Mark's in the chat, my friend. Good to see you. All right, he says, are we doing it? Well, I think if we beat Liverpool next week, then I would say 100% we are doing it. I'm getting more and more confident with each passing week. I'm not thinking too far ahead yet. I must be honest. I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground, take it one game at a time, and think, well, okay, today was good. Today was a good win, and that's one more game down, one less to play, 9 left. Let's keep going. Let's win next week and go from there. But yeah, it's looking really good right now, isn't it? And we're looking like champions, let's be honest. Terry says, gutted, blown another clean sheet. Yeah, I mean, we can't keep a clean sheet at the Emirates, can we? Not sure why. We don't seem to be able to do it. We just seem to make stupid mistakes. Can see really, if you looked at a combination video of all the goals we've conceded at the Emirates this season in the Premier League, there'll be some of the sloppiest goals you've ever seen in your life. Just some of them have been ridiculous. And that is something that we do need to massively, massively improve on. Away from home, we're not conceding those type of goals very often, are we? We've been really, really solid away from home. But at home, for some reason, we just make silly mistakes and concede some daft goals. But when you're scoring 3 and 4 and stuff like that, it maybe doesn't matter too much. But anyway, Loki's in the chat. Doing Loki, good to see you, my friend. He says, evening all. Loki says, Martinelli, my man of the match, makes things happen. Yeah, I'll come on to man of the match actually a little bit later as well. Mark says, if we don't, it's still an incredible season, but I would be gutted. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say an incredible season. Coming second and winning nothing for Arsenal isn't an incredible season. It's not. An incredible season is winning a trophy. It'll be a good season. It'll be a very good season, finishing second, getting into the top 4. That was the aim at the start of the season. That'll be a really good season. But it wouldn't be an incredible season unless we win the title. That would be an incredible season, and that will be amazing. But let's see. Robert says, we just have to take on Liverpool and City as we do other teams, not to promote them as a good team. Well, no, but they are good teams. You know, difficult away games. That's what they are. These are the tests, aren't they? You know, we've come through several tests this season that, you know, there were question marks raised over, and we've gone away to Tottenham, for example, and one. We've gone away to Chelsea and one, places that we've struggled in recent years. You know, so we have to do it again. We've got these 3 big away games, and they're going to decide where we finish in the league, aren't they? You know, if we get 6 points from them, 7 points from them 3 games, that's enough, isn't it? That's probably going to be enough, let's be honest. If we get 1 point from those 3 games, it's going to be very, very tricky, isn't it? Because I think City will win most of their games, if not all of them. We've got to respect them too, because Man City is what they do every season. We've got to match it. You know, the only sort of season in recent years Man City didn't win the league was that COVID season when Liverpool won it. The reason Liverpool won it was because they won their last, 10, 11, 12 games, whatever it was, because City did as well. And that's what we're going to have to do. We have to expect that to happen. You know, we've won, 7 in a row now? Is it 6 or 7 in a row, isn't it, in the Premier League? So we've got to expect to have to win the rest of them. If we're going to win the league, we've got to expect that. That's what we're going to have to do. So let's just do it. And then we've got nothing. It's that in our hands, isn't it? And Terry says, if we don't win it now, we have achieved Spurs' main goal, top 4. Not good enough for me. No, it isn't now. With the top 4, we've pretty much been guaranteed the top 4 for ages, haven't we? Let's be honest. When you look at how far we've been ahead of the teams in 5th, 4th, and 5th, 6th place, you know what I mean? We've been guaranteed a place in the top 4 for a long time. That's done and dusted. It's been done and dusted for a while. It's all about winning the league now, isn't it? It is. Phil says there, good to see you, Phil. He says the turnaround by Granite has been it's been incredible, hasn't it? I don't think there's too many players that have been able to do that at a club when they've at that such a low point that everybody pretty much wanted him out, didn't they? I must admit, I always said I wanted him to stay and give him the opportunity to turn it around, but a lot of people, most fans wanted him out, and it was such a tough time for him. He was on the verge of leaving. And you have to say, maybe if Unai Emery hadn't have been sacked when he was, it's very likely that Granit Xhaka wouldn't have stayed. And Arteta wanted to keep him. Granit Xhaka said that, hasn't he himself? It was Arteta that convinced him to stay. And what a great piece of business that was, because he's been absolutely crucial to this team. Not only on the pitch, his performances have been amazing. It's also his leadership qualities, isn't it? You know, we need an older heads in there to steady the ship a little bit at times. And Granit Xhaka has been one of those main players, hasn't he, that's been able to do that. And yeah, fantastic. And it's a turnaround that no one ever thought they would see, I'm sure. And I say it doesn't happen very often, does it? When a player's lost that trust and faith from the fans, to be able now, the fans to be singing his name and his performances on the pitch. It is an amazing turnaround, and you have to give massive credit to him for that, and massive respect. And I say fair play to you, mate, because you deserve everything that you get now, and hopefully one of those things is going to be a nice little medal around your neck at the end of May, which would be great, wouldn't it? Mark says there, it's his 7th, not 6th. Is it 7th goal of the season? Is it? He's got 5 in the league. Oh yeah, 2 in the Europa League. Yeah, you're right. It's his 7th goal of the season. Wow, he might get double figures. Imagine Granit Xhaka getting double figures for a season. Did anybody ever think that he would be able to get anywhere near close to that? I think he's only scored 3 in the last 3 seasons, hasn't he? So to get 7 in one season, incredible. But yeah, fully deserved. Steve's here. I do. Steve, good to see my friend. He said, "Hi all, great win by Arsenal. What would start 11 be Liverpool? Who gets left out?" Well, yeah, I mean, this is, we were saying, wasn't we, about the rotation now of Bukayo Saka, sorry, because we couldn't leave him out before because we didn't have anybody else who could come in. Now, obviously, since Trossard's come in and now Jesus is back fit again, we've now got options to rotate that front three. And I think that's what you need to do, don't you? Because you can't keep playing the same 11 every week. You can't. It's impossible. And, you know, today, Arteta made that call. He left Saka on he started Saka on the bench. And it paid off because we won the game and won the game in the end pretty comfortably without him. You could see we in that first half, Martin Odegaard couldn't play them balls to Saka and back like they do so well, and he was a little bit lost, wasn't he? But once we got going, it was all fine, wasn't it? Terry says, "Yeah, hats off to you, Richard. You've always backed Jackie." Yeah, I have always backed Jackie. Yeah, because I always knew he had it in him to be a great player, top player. He is a top player. He was before he joined us, and I just didn't feel as though the team around him was getting the best out of him, and maybe the managers that he had wasn't getting the best out of him. So yeah, but it's not just about Granit Xhaka, is it? And it's not about us who maybe are trusting him. It's about how well that the team's doing now and the structure of the team and how well it's working, and that's the most important thing. Phil says, "Bit miffed we didn't keep a clean sheet at home again, but it was unlucky one." So it was a slightly fortunate goal for Leeds, wasn't it, with a deflection, but we were sloppy for 5 or 10 minutes, wasn't we, in that second half when it was 3-0, and you could kind of feel that Leeds might get a goal. They had 1 or 2 other little moments, didn't they? And I say it's happened at home too many times. It happened against Crystal Palace. I mean, we know what happened against Bournemouth. It's happened time and again, hasn't it? And it is something that we do need to need to try and cut out. And that was perhaps the one main negative today, wasn't it? I suppose that we didn't get that clean sheet and we did get a little bit sloppy. Virginia says, even if we win at Anfield, we still need to win another 7 to make sure we win. No, we do. And I'm not saying that mathematically we won the league, but I just think that because I do feel as though going to Anfield has been a real mental block for us in recent years. We've almost lost before we've even set on foot on the pitch. And if you saw the All or Nothing documentary last season's trip to Anfield, if you remember, before we played them there, Mikel Arteta was talking about when he played there when we lost 5-1 and he's had some terrible defeats at Anfield. I thought that was a very negative mindset going into that game. We ended up losing 4-0. And I do feel as though it's a lot different now. And it's a mental thing, isn't it? When you go away to teams where you traditionally don't do very well, you lose, and you go there and win. It makes such a massive difference mentally, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm not saying that winning at Anfield is all we need to do. No, there is still 7 games afterwards that we still need to get results in. But I just think from a mental perspective and a confidence perspective and a belief to go to Anfield and win. Only Leeds have won there in the Premier League this season. Like you said, they beat Bournemouth 9-0. They beat Man United 7-0. They're a threat at Anfield. There's no doubt about that. Still, even though they're nowhere near the team they were last season, they are still going to Anfield is a tough place to go. And if we can get a win there, then to me that shows the mentality this team's got at this point in the season. And I think that will mean that we will go on and win it. I'll be convinced 100%. If we win at Anfield, we'll go on and win the league. If we lose it doesn't mean we won't win the league. It just means it's going to be slightly more difficult, and 2, the doubts are going to creep in a little bit, aren't they, with some of the other away games that we've got? Because if we were to lose at Liverpool, lose at Man City and lose at Newcastle, that's 9 points. And City would only have to win one of those other games, wouldn't they? Beating us, winning, to close that gap, win 2 games, close that gap. So, yeah, let's see. Robert says that obviously they're great teams, but I was referring to our own approach, which we seem to look up to them rather than believe we're as good as. But no, you're right, absolutely, yeah, we do, and I think that's been our problem, hasn't it, in recent years? Certainly, I mean, hopefully this season now we don't need to be fearful of anybody, do we? We should go to Anfield next week and say, we're good enough to beat them. We're good enough to go there, take the game to them and win, and play on the counter attack, cause them problems, score goals, and win the game. But it doesn't always work like that, does it? We'll have to. It is going to be a real big test. That is such a big game that, and I say it's going to be a big week. Looking forward to that. Terry says we only need 23 more points, and the Premier's ours. We probably don't need that many, Terry. Let's be honest. We don't need that many, do we? But we'll take them all. Let's win them all. I agree. Mark says Xhaka's always been a good player, but there was always an agenda. Just got more goals in a more offensive position. Yeah, he's playing in a more offensive position. That's obviously helped him to get more goals. Absolutely. And I just think as well, he seems to be playing with more freedom as well now, doesn't he? And I don't know about always an agenda. There seems to be an agenda against him by the fans, certainly. I'll say almost from the start for some reason. I don't know why. But anyway, he's turned it around and brilliant from him. Robert says there, respect for the members of Rocastle, a true legend. The little lad yeah, that was lovely, wasn't it? Seeing that little lad with a 7 Rocastle shirt, that was a memorable moment. And of course, the club are always going to, all of us do, don't we? That remember Rocky when he played for Arsenal. We all... Every 31st of March, we always think back to the great times and think back to the great man. And he was one of those players, wasn't he, that really epitomised everything that Arsenal were. The traditions, the everything that it meant to be an Arsenal player. He 100% understood that and got it, didn't he, Rocastle? And that's something that that's apart from him being a fantastic player, and he was. I mean, there was 3 or 4 years in those early George Graham years at the club where Rocky was just unbelievable, wasn't he? Just an incredible player. He had everything, didn't he? He was like the modern player playing in the 1980s, wasn't he? He was powerful. He was strong. He could dribble with the ball. He could shoot. He was the all-round player, wasn't he? And he could have played... a peak David Rocastle now would have been in this team, wouldn't he? He would have played in this team, absolutely would have done, and he would have played in all the great Arsenal teams. So, yeah, a brilliant player, but more than that, just what a great man he was, wasn't he? I say epitomised everything that it meant to play for Arsenal, the tradition, the honour that he felt to be wearing that shirt for Arsenal every single game that he played, and every time he represented Arsenal on and off the pitch. Just what a fantastic guy, a fantastic player, and now we've got a number 7, haven't we, Bukayo Saka, who is following on from that legacy, really, isn't he? Because he is everything that Rocastle was, isn't he? The way that he conducts himself, everything about him, he totally epitomises what Arsenal should mean and what Arsenal do mean. And to have him now, playing in that number 7 shirt in a similar sort of position to, I know football's changed now, hasn't it, in the formations and stuff, but in a similar kind of position in a team and doing similar things on the pitch. In fact, I think that Bukayo Saka is gonna reach a higher level than Rocky was able to. Obviously, Rocky had to left Arsenal, didn't he? Sort of at its peak years, really. And Bukayo Saka looks as though now with this new contract, he's going to be with us, hopefully all his career. And I think he's going to eclipse even the great Rocky Rocastle. So it's great to have him in the team as well, isn't it? Someone else who really gets it, really gets what it means to come through Arsenal's youth system and be in that first team and representing us on the pitch and off the pitch, and hopefully leading us to some great trophies, as Rocky did as well, didn't he? Some great moments for him. Terry says Trossard must play. I think he is possibly Arteta's best buy. To be honest with you, we were saying this, me and my son, before the game today. We were saying that Trossard probably has been our best signing under Arteta, I think. At the time he signed him, when we needed a player like that, what he's done is incredible. He is a magnificent football player. His work rate is just, wow. He's tackling back defensively. Seconds later, he's up the other end, creating chances. Brilliant footballer, Leandro Trossard. Just fantastic. And what a brilliant signing. And I agree. I think he is Arteta's best signing at this moment in time. probably just ahead of Thomas Partey, who's maybe been up there as well, hasn't he? But yeah, Trossard's fantastic, isn't he? Just love watching him play. Steve says City will lose 1 and draw 2, I reckon. Well, if they do, then it's happy days, but I'm not so sure. I think they might win them all, just knowing what our City have done this in the past, chasing league titles down. You know, they beat Liverpool today 4-1. Not many teams do that, do they? Steve says, how hard does Martinelli not? How does Martinelli not start? Well, I mean, he has been starting, hasn't he? But it's going to be difficult now because we've got options, and everyone's going to get rotated. I think all that front three will get rotated, and we've got great options, haven't we? So it's good stuff, really good stuff. Robert says our best squad is as good as Champions League team. Well, no, our best squad. See, this is the problem. You see, our squad at this moment isn't strong enough in depth wise. Our first 12, 13 players, 14. I agree, are as good as any team anywhere at this moment in time. But the depth behind that isn't at the level that we need to be when we're in the Champions League. So we need to strengthen the squad in the summer. I'm sure we will. We'll have the Champions League money and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure we will. Hopefully we'll be Premier League champions as well. So players will be, running to come to the Emirates, won't they? They'll be booking their taxis and their flights to London to come and join us. But we need to pad the squad out with more quality. There's no doubt about that. If we're going to get to that level where we can compete for the Premier League every season and go a long way in the Champions League, we need that bigger squad, don't we? So our squad isn't quite there yet. Our first 12, 13 players are, 100%, I agree. Just below that, it's a little bit more difficult, isn't it? We've got Michael from Arsenal Above All says, hi, mate, sorry I couldn't join you. A little Gooner here has been sick last 2 nights. Oh, dear, that's not good to hear, is it? Looking after a great win. Would have loved a clean sheet. Yeah, I think we all would love the clean sheet. I hope the little Gooner's better very soon. I know there's a few bugs going around, isn't it, at the minute? I hope they're going to be fine. If you haven't yet, check out Arsenal Above All, the channel as well, Michael's channel. Really great stuff as well. And I say, Michael's been on the show a few times before as well, hasn't he? So definitely check that out. But yeah, I hope you're well, mate, and take it easy and look after a family. That's what it's about, isn't it? Regenda says, if Man City win their other games, we will need the 23 points to win. Well, no, I mean, basically, as things stand, we can lose to Man City, win all the other games, we win the league. Yeah, absolutely, we do. But let's see. Hopefully, we don't lose to Man City. But anyway, we'll see. Terry says, to be honest, I feel privileged to have seen Rocky play. Yeah, me too. Absolutely, 100%. I mean, they were great times as well, weren't they? It was a great time to be out watching football. And to see Rocky play for us I feel privileged as well, and I'm so grateful to have had those opportunities. I had a season ticket back then, used to go most away games, and just it was I say about 3 or 4 seasons in a row. He was just how he never played every single game for England during that period. I do not know. Just unbelievable that he only got was it like 15 caps or something ridiculous? He never played for England nowhere near as many times. He's the sort of player that he should have got 75, 80 caps, shouldn't he, Rocastle? But I don't know. Amazing that he never. But yeah, brilliant player. And every year at this time, we always remember him, don't we? And we always will. And he may have gone far too early, but we'll never ever forget him, will we? And you're right, Terry. It was a privilege to see him play. Robert says there. Now that I agree, Saka is the modern Rocastle in this team. Yeah, he is absolutely. He's 100%, and he's the modern Rocky, isn't he? Bukayo Saka, both on the pitch and off the pitch, an absolute role model, and yeah, represents this great football club in the perfect way, doesn't he? In everything that he does, Bukayo Saka as well. And for me, it'll be an absolute travesty if he doesn't get either Player of the Year or Young Player of the Year this season, because he's been phenomenal, hasn't he? For England, for Arsenal, just wow, what a talent this lad is. And today, the good news was we managed to win the game without him on the pitch for most of it, and he came on that towards the end when the game was pretty much done and dusted. So that's a good sign, isn't it? Because I think we're all worried, what happens if Saka's out of the team? Well, we found out today we can still play some good football and still win the games. Robert says, I have to go, lads. And I said, okay, mate, no worries. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully see you tomorrow for the women's game against Man City. That's going to be a good one. Michael says there, love the tribute to Rocky. Great words about him. Which, well, we know, he was just an incredible person, incredible player. Just brilliant stuff. Loki says I met Rocky in 1991 at a petrol station in Barnet. He had a black Merc with the Reg, DRC7, lovely chap. Yeah, I mean, that is a great story, actually, at a petrol station. I actually met him outside Highbury. Must have been about 1990, I think it was. I know he wasn't playing at the time because he was injured. And I'd gone up to Highbury to pick up a ticket, I think, for an away game from the box office. You used to do that in them days. It's not like now when it's all online and stuff. You used to have to go to the ground to get your tickets, pick them up. And I remember I was going there and I was walking, you go past the marble halls and all that, walking up there. And he was coming out. I think it might have been David Hillier he was with. Can't remember now. Or Alan Miller, potentially. Anyway, it was coming out come down the steps of the main entrance. And I'd sort of walking out, just lucky really that I walked past that particular time as he was coming out. Great it was. I mean, I only had a brief conversation with him. I think I just said, hope you're back fit playing soon, and that was it. He signed me ticket that I picked up. So but yeah, absolutely, what a fantastic player he was, but what a great guy. You're absolutely right, he was. Had time for everyone, didn't he? Always happy to have a stop and have a chat about what he was doing, and brilliant stuff. And Neil's in the chat with him, my friend. Hope you're well. 7 wins on the trot. Indeed, it is 7 wins on the trot, and we was enjoying that one today. Neil says, yeah, Trossi, best winter signing in years, if not the best. Yeah, I think he's the best sign that we've made in recent years, actually. It transformed his team, hasn't he? And he's given us the opportunity to be able to even rest Saka. That's how good he is. We can rotate Saka out of the team. Now we've got Trossi in there. Brilliant. What a performance from him today. And that assist for that third goal. Incredible. James says Saka and Martinelli, new greats taking over from Messi and Ronaldo. Well, I think that's a little bit, let's not get too carried away yet. I think Messi and Ronaldo are still different level up, but let's see if they can become the new what, Rocky and Merson, maybe. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? That would do us. That would be a good enough comparison for me if they go on and have that going forward. Terry says Super Neil's in the house. Oh, say hi. Indeed, Super Neil is in the house as always. Good to see everyone, actually. Terry says, are you on the show Monday night? Neil says, if Rich has me on, then yes, of course I'll have you on, Neil. You're always welcome. You know that every single week. And Neil says, only if you come on. Terry's always here. Terry says, good, I'll see you Monday. Yeah, we'll all be here Monday. Don't worry about that. It's a big week, isn't it, with the Liverpool game. And Michael says, thanks for the shout out, Rich. Hi, Neil, and all in the chat. And no worries, mate. Yeah, definitely get subscribing to Arsenal Above All. Great channel. Great guys over on there. Terry says, Villa has just gone 1-0 up. Well, Emery knows what he's doing, doesn't he? He knows how to manage a team. Virginia says, I thought Rocky was the best player at that time, but he didn't get the plaudits. He has silky skills. Yeah, I mean, he got the plaudits from us, didn't he? He didn't get the plaudits elsewhere outside of Arsenal as much, did he? I agree. And I say he should have been a regular for England. I mean, I remember a few years before Rocky came on the scene, when Watford first got promoted to the first division, 82, I think it was. I used to watch Watford sometimes. A mate of mine was a Watford fan. And when I wasn't going to Arsenal game, if we was away somewhere, I wasn't going, and Watford were at home, I used to go to Watford with him. And I saw quite a lot in fact, it was before they got promoted. It was the season before as well. And I saw a lot of John Barnes. And I used to think John Barnes, what a player he was. He had everything, didn't he? He was strong, the skills that he had, could score goals. And then I remember he came to Highbury once, their first season in Division 1, and I think he scored a hat-trick against us. They won 4-2 Watford, and he just ran the show, John Barnes. We couldn't live with him. And I remember thinking, well, what a player. I wouldn't mind Arsenal getting a player like that. And a couple of years later, young Rocky came through our youth team, and that was the first thing that I thought of when I first saw him play was, he had a similar build to John Barnes. He was very, very similar type of player, and that was who I kind of compared him to. And obviously I saw a lot more of Rocky playing for Arsenal, of course, but I believe he was as good as John Barnes, and John Barnes was an incredible footballer. He didn't quite get the plaudits, you're right, and he didn't, and he should have done. But fantastic player, and as Terry rightly said before, absolute privilege to see him play for Arsenal. And I think we were all gutted, wasn't we, when he left? Such a shock, wasn't it? No one was expecting it. He'd had such a great season the season before that. Obviously, Wrighty had joined, best mates that grew up together. Wrighty said so many times, hasn't he, that it was Rocky, even though Rocky was quite a bit younger than him, he was the one that kind of tried to sort Wrighty's life out. When Wrighty went to prison and whatnot. And it's that's how mature, and that's what how respected Rocky was. Even guys like Ian Wright looked up to him. So yeah, it was really sad when he left, wasn't it? And I know he was sad. His career never really happened for him after that. I do think that George Graham and the Arsenal staff maybe knew there was some injury issues there, and that was maybe partly behind one of the reasons why they let him go when they did. But it was certainly a shock to us, wasn't it? Because he was Arsenal through and through, and it would be exactly the same now, wouldn't it? If Saka was to leave. So yeah, but yeah, it was a great tribute to Rocky today. And it was good to hear the crowd singing his name as well. They always have done, haven't they? I can't ever remember being at a game, I don't think, when the Rocky chant hasn't been sung at some point. So yeah, it's say this time of the year is always a sad time, isn't it? But it's great that we remember him. So many of us still remember him when he played, and what a fantastic football player he was. And I say such a great guy. So but yeah, I say we've got the modern version now in our team, haven't we? And and it looks as though he is going to get the credit outside of Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, isn't he? We're playing for England now. He's becoming one of England's first names on the England team sheet now, isn't he? And when was the last time we could say that about an Arsenal player, to be one of the regulars in the England team game after game? It's not often that's happened in recent years, has it? I mean, we're going back to the days of maybe Kenny Sanson, and he used to get picked every England game, didn't he? But there's not been too many. Ashley Cole, obviously, more recent times, but not too many. Not too many Arsenal players have ever been regular. Even Tony Adams, as great as he was never really a regular in the England team, was he? All the time, he kept getting left out and stuff like that, didn't he? But I say Saka looks like he's going to be in that England team for years. He could break the appearance record, couldn't he? But for caps, he could do, because he's already got quite a lot already, and he's still only 21. John's in the chat, he says Saka might nearly be coming a new Perez and Lundberg will do for me. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that will be fine. I'll say, the new Rocky and Mercer will do for me. But yeah, Perez and Lundberg, that'll be great. We'll take that all day long, won't we? Loki says that 4-2 loss to Watford. You can see me age 11 behind the goal at the clock end on TV. I was in the North Bank that day. That was I think it was later that season when I moved to the clock end. But I was in the North Bank that game, and I just remember. Obviously, I knew quite a bit about John Barnes already. I'd seen Watford play a bit, but he was I'm sure he got a hat trick, didn't he, that game? Or he got two, maybe, and an assist or something. But he was just brilliant, wasn't he? Michael says there, at the time, which England managers didn't fancy selecting skillful players that much. Yeah, maybe. Look at how Barnes was used. They wanted 11 workhorses. Agree, Rocky should have won loads of caps. Yeah, but you see, Barnes won, in the end, John Barnes won about 78 caps for England, didn't he? Yes, I know he went to Liverpool and, obviously won league titles and stuff, which probably helped. But I mean, Rocky was winning league titles at Arsenal, wasn't he? So yeah, I never understood why he didn't get more caps than he did. And yeah, they did maybe want workhorses. It was a different type of game, wasn't it? And I do feel as though Rocky was maybe ahead of his time in the 80s. I say he would be in this team now, wouldn't he? If he was at his peak now, he'd be in this team. Rocky all day long. I'd have him in this team, 100%. He's a modern player that was playing at a time when he maybe sometimes looked. Maybe people to get him because he was so far ahead of his time. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But anyway, Neil says there, Rocky was way ahead of his time and could have got into Wenger. He could get into this squad, Neil. Honestly, he'd get into this team. I'd have him in his team, Rocky, now at his peak, 100%. And Neil says, for me, he should never have been sold. No, he shouldn't have been. But I do feel as though maybe there were reasons behind it to do with injuries and stuff, because he never really got going anywhere else. Yes, I know it must have been hard for him to find the same level of motivation playing for another club, maybe. But he did get a lot of injuries, didn't he? Wherever he played after, at Arsenal, at Man City, at Leeds, at Chelsea, never really got to a clear run without injuries. So maybe Arsenal knew that was coming, and that's maybe perhaps why that decision was made. Leeds put a good offer in. Maybe they thought, yeah, let's cash in on him while we still can, because in 2 years' time, he might not be the same player. And maybe it was a sensible planning from the club. It was horrible at the time. We was devastated, weren't we? But looking back, it never quite worked out for him, did it, afterwards? And if you remember, actually, apart from that last season before he went, the 2 seasons before, he'd been in and out of the team. He'd had a lot of injury problems. He hadn't really looked the same as he had done before. And I felt it was a little bit of burnout, personally. I didn't know what was going on, but it felt a little bit burnout because he'd played so many games when he was young, a bit like Saka now. And that's kind of what worries me slightly sometimes. But yeah, he'd had a couple of seasons where he hadn't really played that much. And then he had that great season, didn't he? And maybe Arsenal thought, let's cash in because these injuries are coming back. And maybe they were right. I don't know. But yeah, we were all a bit gutted, definitely. Neil says he was a fantastic player and a wonderfully smart with life. He was brilliant as a human being. Yeah, he was an amazing man, absolutely brilliant. And I've got a lot of books on him and obviously writing and stuff like that. Absolutely brilliant. Michael says I was lucky to interview Rocky on the phone for New Paper 30 years ago. Was you? He was at City then, and I was a super nervous teenager, but he was such a gent. It was only meant to be 20 minutes, but spoke for an hour. Wow. What a brilliant memory that is. What a fantastic memory that must be. So I spoke to him for about 2 minutes outside Highbury grounds, getting a ticket that day, and that was enough for me. That was like, wow, to have spoke to him for over an hour. Wow, incredible. What a story. Rajendra says it was in the 30s where we had 7 players in the England team. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, against Italy, wasn't it? Game was played at Highbury, funnily enough. I think they were world champions at the time. We won. Arsenal beat the world champions in I think it was 1935, or was it 34 maybe? And yeah, I think we did have 7 in the team. Yeah, but those were the days. Not going to happen these days, is it? Probably never happened since. Neil says that is fair testing. What a memory for you to keep. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Oh, fantastic, Michael. Yeah, fantastic. No, it is brilliant. What a great. Yeah, that's fantastic, isn't it? Just to have experienced that. I mean, incredible. Wow, what a story that is. I thought my story of meeting him outside Highbury was good for 2 minutes, but to have an hour conversation with him, wow. Brilliant stuff. But yeah, I mean, we could sit. And in fact, last year I remember we did a show on the channel, didn't we? Sort of looking back on memories of Rocky. And to be honest, we could do a 3-hour show, couldn't we? Just talking about him, some of the great moments on the pitch, the great moments off the pitch, just everything really, couldn't we? We could spend a whole week talking about him, and we'd never get sick of it. But I suppose this show was meant to be about the game today, and it does, doesn't it? At this moment in time, I think we go back to 89. Been mentioned quite a lot this season. And in a way, this season feels a lot of similarities with it, doesn't it? A young team, a young manager trying to make his way in football, as George Graham was back then. And yeah, it is a similar kind of it's a similar situation, isn't it? Obviously, football's a lot different now, but I see a lot of similarities with that, and with this team. A young team playing exciting football, scoring goals. And if you remember in '89, we had a bit of a stutter, didn't we? Towards the end, almost cost us, but we got over the line. Will we have a stutter this season, or will it be a serene march through to winning this title this season? We'll have to see. Still 9 games to play, of course, and some difficult fixtures in those as well. Particularly some of them away games, as we said, 3 really tough away games. Those 9 points there are going to probably decide it for me. If we can get 6 or 7 of those 9, then I think we're there. But let's see. Let's just enjoy it while we can. Michael says, thanks, Neil. That's why when I do get an Arsenal shot, I always put his name and number on the back. Yeah, I mean, I think all of us are the same, aren't we, when it comes to Rocky? Loki says, maybe Rocky, Mickey T and Paul Davis were the wrong shade of white at the time. Yeah, you may well be right, because none of them play. Well, Paul Davis didn't play for England at all, did he? He just got in the squad, didn't he, when he got banned? And yeah, Mickey T never really played that much. He only got a few caps, didn't he? Not very many at all. Rocky hardly any. But having said that, you look at it as well another way, Loki. You've got Alan Smith, for example, Paul Merson, for example, players that were winning league titles, winning golden boots. They never played that much for England, really, did they? When you think now how easy it is to get England caps. Look at some of the players that's got England caps, and then you look at players like that in those teams. Steve Bold. Why didn't he play for England? Nigel Winterburn. Yes, he had Stuart Pearce and whatever ahead of him, but why wasn't he getting the England caps? Lee Dixon should have had a lot more as well. It looked as though a lot of Arsenal players were overlooked. I don't necessarily think it was necessarily a skin issue, but who knows? But we had a lot of players at that time that were fantastic players that were winning trophies, winning titles and stuff like that. Should have been regulars in the England team every single game, and they wasn't. And it's a shame because they deserved it. They did deserve it. More caps, Even Smudger Smith, he should have been playing for England. Him and Lineker played together at Leicester. So why wasn't they playing together for England all the time? They knew how to play with each other. It worked. They were brilliant for Leicester. Crazy. It makes no sense. The England managers never made any sense to me. And certainly this current one certainly doesn't. But anyway, Regeneration says there, Kennedy, George Graham partnership in the 70s, who went on to Liverpool to win lots more titles. but was suffering also. Yeah, he had Ray Kennedy had Parkinson's disease, didn't he? I remember there was Arsenal did a game for him, didn't they? That would have been about 1991, wouldn't it? When there was that, we had a game for Ray Kennedy, didn't we? Because of his Parkinson's disease, raised money and that kind of stuff. That was good. That I remember that. I went to that game. That was really good. Yeah. And Neil says, I only recall one England game with all our famous black four. I don't think they ever played together for England. I don't think they did. Not all of them at the same time. Pretty sure they never did. I think Steve Bold, did he only get one cap in the friendly sometime? And I don't think he played with the others, did he? I don't think, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they never actually played a game together for England. Terry says, we have a lot of thanks for Kate Howie MP for looking after Rocky when he was a young kid. Yeah, Kate Howie MP, yeah, she's been a bit of a legend for Arsenal over the years, hasn't she? Actually, that's got me thinking now about that back four. Did they ever actually play a game for England? I'm not sure if they ever did. They should have done. They should have been England's regular back four and goalkeeper for about 5-6 years, shouldn't they? Daniel says Ray Kennedy was also a name also in England team. Yeah, but mainly when he played for Liverpool. You know, he didn't win. I'm sure he maybe made his debut for England when he was at Arsenal. I don't. He played most of his caps for England when he played for Liverpool, didn't he? But then he was winning league titles, European Cups with Liverpool, I suppose. And he only really won the double with Arsenal, didn't he? Which is great, but. Yeah, I don't know. I do feel sometimes Arsenal players historically have been overlooked by England managers, and now we don't have as many English players in the team that we used to have, do we? But obviously now we've got one who's looks as though he's going to be a regular. Neil says maybe I was dreaming. Well, I wouldn't say maybe he was dreaming, but you might be right. I just can't remember it. I remember always thinking at the time they should be playing together, and I'm sure Steve Bold only played once for England. I'm sure maybe it was against, was it? I don't know, friendly against Saudi Arabia or somebody he played. And I think a few of the Arsenal players played that day. I think Thomas played, Rocastle played. I'm not sure if Dixon and Adams and Winterburn, because did Winterburn ever play for England? Maybe played once as well, didn't he? Anyway, Neil says, I'm sure there was one game when they all selected and it was in the back play. Yeah, maybe there was. Maybe it was that Saudi Arabia game, maybe, because I know there was a lot of Arsenal players played in that game. Or a few were in the squad. I don't think they all played. I think Merson might have played, maybe. Anyway, Regenda says, also confused him with Alan Kennedy, who played for Liverpool. You know, he did, yeah, Alan Kennedy and Ray Kennedy, yeah. Alan Kennedy played in defence, didn't he? I think it was a fullback. And obviously Ray Kennedy for Liverpool played in midfield after he played it as a striker for Arsenal, didn't he? So, no, I remember Alan Kennedy as well. Yeah, didn't Alan Kennedy score in one of the European Cup finals, didn't he, for Liverpool? I seem to remember in the late 70s, potentially. He might have scored in 2 of the finals, actually. That was a great Liverpool team, wasn't it, to be fair? But we don't want to talk about that, really, do we? Let's instead focus on us being... Is it 8 points clear, are we? Really, 8 points clear? That's quite cool, isn't it? With 9 games to play. I mean, who would have thought that? We're in April now. It is April the 1st today, of course. And... I didn't think we'd be at this point in the season in this position. Absolutely not a cat in hell's chance. I thought this is where we'd be, but we are, and we are going to stay there, aren't we? Let's be honest. And I think today was, in a way, it was a good win for us, because again we've had to grow into the game, haven't we, and stuff like that. So yeah, long may this continue. We've got 9 left, as we said, and let's see if we win 8 of them, we won the league for definite. Neil says, not an April Fool, 8 points clear. Yeah, it's not an April Fool at all. Rajendra says, so I thought we sold a super player who was with Liverpool in the greatest period. Well, we did, yeah, I mean, we did sell a great player to Liverpool, didn't we? And he went on to have even more success there. Neil says there, 30 million. 30 million what? What's that referring to? You have to let me know what you mean by 30 million. Is that how much? What's 30 million referring to? How much we're going to win for winning the league? But anyway, is that an April Fool thing? Maybe I've missed it. 30 in front of Liverpool as my. Oh right. Oh sorry. Yeah. No, I'm catching up now. See what you mean? Okay. Fair enough. But yeah. So yeah, 9 games to play. And it is looking good, let's be honest. You know, we're on this run now, 7 wins in a row at this point in the season. That is what champions do. And I didn't think this team would be capable of doing that. I've got to be honest. I really didn't. I didn't think we would. And every week they're proving me wrong, and it's great. And let's just hope we can keep this going. But I say we've got some really big tests to come, haven't we? Starting next week, next Sunday, isn't it? Easter Sunday. We're playing Liverpool here on Easter Sunday. Well, that's going to be good, isn't it? So we look forward to that game. Of course, that is going to be a big test, isn't it? And I say if we come out of that with all 3 points, then for me, that is it. I'll be 100% convinced then in my mind that we will win the league this year. Even if we get a draw, we put in a great performance, that might be enough to convince me as well. At this moment in time, I'm just taking it as it is, thinking, yeah, fair enough. Let's keep winning as many as we can and see where it takes us. But if we win at Anfield, where we've not won for 12 years, 11 years, whatever it is, that would really make me sit up and think, you know what? We are going to do this. We are going to do this, definitely. Loki says they're draw at City and 7 wins, 94 points. The league is won. Up we're going to be it'll be our biggest ever points total, won't it? Because 90 is our current highest from the Invincibles got 90 points, didn't they? I'm sure they did. So 94 would beat that, wouldn't it? That'd be great, wouldn't it? Neil says, "Gonna go, Rich. Nice chat with you and all. Enjoy your weekends and come on." Take care, everyone. Yeah, cheers, Neil. Good to see you, mate. Hopefully, you'll be on Monday night. We will have a chat about this game, look into Liverpool, and one or two other bits and bobs as always. So we'll see you very, very soon. So yeah, Arsenal won 4-1, and it was great. And some great goals in there as well, wasn't there? What was your favourite goal for me? I think my favourite goal today was probably Jesus' second goal. Great move, wasn't it? And well finished as well. So that was my favourite goal. And Neil says, see you Monday indeed, my friend. Loki says, thumbs up. Yeah, give us a thumbs up. Yeah, it'd be nice. Just before we go, we need a man and a match, don't we? Let's have a think then, because there were a few decent performances there. Trossard, as we mentioned, was brilliant today, wasn't he? Again, what a performance from him. Martinelli again. Someone mentioned Martinelli earlier, didn't they, as man of the match potentially. He was decent, wasn't he? Got an assist as well. Could have had a goal or two. Trying to think who else maybe was stand up. Ben White, another really good performance at right back. Got himself another goal. 2 goals this season for him. Brilliant from him. I mean, Partey midfield was pretty smooth, wasn't he? Played well. But for me, I'm gonna give it to Gabriel Jesus. 2 goals, 2 important goals. The first one, the pressure on that penalty, hadn't scored for ages, tucked it away coolly. And then the second goal, brilliant bit of movement as well. A lovely ball, made the run and got the finish. And I thought he worked hard, didn't he? He looked as though he's getting back to his best again. Man of the match today could have gone to a 4 or 5 players, let's be honest. But I'm going to give it, my man of the match to give it Gabriel Jesus, because I thought the 2 goals were so important today. Good to see him getting back on the score sheet. Good to see him back fit again, playing well and fitting straight back into the team. So yeah, I want to give him a big shout out today. But yeah, they all played well. I thought Ramsdale made some important saves early on in that game. Important contributions. Rob Holding as well, actually. We want to give Rob Holding a shout out. He's come into the team. Everyone was panicking about Saliba being out. Rob Holding's come in and he's put in another decent performance today. Yes, Leeds aren't a physical team. But they have got good movement and good pace around him. And I thought he could have struggled at times today, but he hung in there. He done well. And yeah, he had a decent game, Rob Holding, with his fantastic new hair. So yeah, well played, Rob Holding as well. I want to give him a shout out. Another good performance from him. We're going to need him probably next week at Anfield. He's going to have to step up again, isn't he? And he's going to have to really produce another good performance. But at least he's going to be confident now. 2 good performances. So well done, Rob Holding, as well. I know I've maybe not always been your biggest fan as a player. I think you're a great guy. And I thought you came across really well in the All or Nothing documentary. I know on the pitch sometimes you've worried me, but the last couple of games you've been good, solid. So well done, Rob Holding. I'll give him but for Gabriel Jesus for me today, he's just going to shade the man of the match just because those 2 goals so important, and I say big for his confidence as well for these next last few games of the season. If he's scoring goals, that could be the difference between us winning it and not. So really important day for him. So yeah, well played. But well played, everyone. It was a good, solid performance all round, wasn't it? Everybody played well today. No one really had a poor game, did they? And that's why we've won 4-1. Terry says, Trossard for me, loving that guy and his attitude. No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, we could give Trossard man of the match every single game at the minute. He's played so well, but he was certainly in with the running again. But I just think Jesus, just great to have him back scoring goals. and he's going to be so important now, isn't it, in these last few games, that if he keeps bagging him goals in, I think we'll have a great chance of getting that title, won't we? So lots still to look forward to, isn't there, this season? It's been great. It's been a great ride. It's been a tough ride at times. It's been nervy. It's been exciting. And here we are with 9 games to go, 8 points clear, and looking. It's not really necessarily about being 8 points clear for me. Yeah, being 8 points clear is great. But what it's about for me is it's about the way we're playing. It's how we're looking as though we're confident to win this league now. That's the most important thing for me. It's this is a time, isn't it, where it really is. So the pressure is so high, and to be able to produce these type of performances again week after week now. What's that? 7 wins in a row, playing like this when we're chasing a title with a young team. It's incredible, really. And let's just hope we haven't peaked too soon, but I'm sure we haven't. Loki said, my haircut cost me £15 yesterday. What a rip-off. And my daddy's bald. What's going on? Well, you could always go down the Rob Holding route, couldn't you? I mean, his haircuts probably cost him about 10 grand. So, 15 quid's nothing, is it? Let's be honest. So, it's a bargain, £15, isn't it? Mine don't cost me nothing. I just do it myself. So it's fine. But yeah. So he says, well done, the Goonies today, and come on, you Goonie girls, tomorrow. Loki says, up, guys. Indeed, yeah. So tomorrow we are going to be here for the Arsenal women. We are playing, of course, Manchester City at Meadow Park. That is going to be a massive game. Really, really important. Win that, we're back in the title race. So that's a big game. And that kicks off early tomorrow. It's 12:30 on a Sunday, which isn't ideal, is it? Sunday's me only lying of the week. I don't want to be getting up early and doing a watch along, but I'm going to, because it's a great game. I love doing them. So join me for that about 12:15. We'll have all your team news, build up, and all that kind of stuff. There'll definitely be a watch along tomorrow. I say today, family issues coming. That's more important, isn't it? My son came up for the day, so, and tomorrow he's here. But so we watched the game together, which was nice. I enjoyed that. So I thought I'd just do this now. But yeah, we're definitely back tomorrow for the watch along for the women at 12:15. That is going to be great. So please join us for that if you can. Monday, of course, as we mentioned, the Arsenal review will be here. We'll get the guys in, Neil, hopefully Melvin. Who knows, 1 or 2 other people may be available to come on. So we'll get a good panel together for that one. Looking ahead to Liverpool as well. So that'll be good. And what else have we got coming up this week? There's no midweek games, is there? I'm sure we'll find something to do. We'll find something. We'll stick a show on one night for you, maybe Wednesday. We'll put something together. Of course, it's the Lionesses are playing in the Finalissimo, aren't they, against Brazil as well later in the week. So we may well do that game as well for you. And of course, next weekend, the big one, Liverpool away. Easter as well, isn't it? Easter weekend. Oh, actually, I'm away, I know, for Easter. But I'll be here for Liverpool game. We'll do 1 or 2 things maybe, but I'm off work for 6-7 days, so that's going to be good. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. For the time being, we'll see you tomorrow, as Daniel says. Yeah, indeed you will. Terry says, no noise so far from Gary Neville yet. Well, don't worry about Gary Neville. He's had his day, hasn't he? Don't worry about him. We don't care. I don't want to win the league to shut Gary Neville up. I want to win the league because I want to win it and enjoy it. And it's for Arsenal, so that's what I want. I don't really care about Gary Neville, but anyway, it'll be nice for a few people. They'll be a little bit upset, won't they, when they see us lifting that trophy. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow at 12:15. It did finish today at the Emirates, Arsenal 4, Leeds 1. It was very enjoyable. Some great goals, some great performances, and good to see Gabriel Jesus off the mark again, back on the score sheet, and looking back to his best, or getting back to his best. John says, thanks for the show. Have a good evening yourself, mate. Yeah, enjoy the rest of your Saturday, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow, bright and early, 12:15 for the big one, Arsenal women against Manchester City. We'll be giving you the great watch along for that game as well. So join us for that. In the meantime, we'll see you then. Come on, you Gunners, 8 points clear. I think, you know what, we might well do this. Start preparing for how we're going to react and how we're going to feel when we seal that title. It's what we're going to do. But Terry says, night all in the chat. Indeed, yeah. Thanks everyone. Don't forget, give us a like before you go. I will see you tomorrow, 12:15. Can't wait for that one as well. That is going to be something really good. Terry says, come on, you girls. Indeed, we'll be cheering them on tomorrow, hopefully to a big victory. It's been a great week, hasn't it, for Arsenal again? The women reaching the semi-final of Champions League. Arsenal 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And the women could get themselves right back in that title race tomorrow. We could be 3 points off the top with a game in hand tomorrow if we beat Man City. That would be brilliant, wouldn't it? So join us for that. I will see you soon. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Come on, you Gunners. I'll see you tomorrow. Real Martinelli. It's now with Granit Xhaka. Is it going to be the third goal? It is the third goal. Granit Xhaka with it. That seals it.